told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Got a buildup of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me? Well then baby I have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no you'll never be the same. I don't really wanna hurt you but I can't control the pain. If you're sticking by my side maybe we could be okay. Okay, maybe you could be the change I need today. I promise that I've never felt this way. I really hope that you will choose to stay through all the pain.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away, as you fade away.
That is the first and last time you hear that god-awful music with these god-awful art pieces. We are not going down this road again. This has to stop. Greg the Cooler I guaranteed a victory for Mexico yesterday. And the little general and I were watching, and once again, I thought the date was July 1st. I thought everything after July 1st, it was all going to turn around because that is the start of the new calendar year when it comes to college sports. I thought that would hold true for everything. I was wrong. It's delayed a little bit. Greg the Gold is delayed a little bit. That's all. That's all this is. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. Everything's okay. Just delayed. We've been waiting for 4 years for Greg the Gold to appear. And once again, Greg the Cooler, England 3, Mexico 2. Welcome. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peak Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Do not forget to ring the notification bell. If you want to support this true independent national college football's rebel outpost with a donation, help us keep the lights on and grow the channel, just hit that $sign where you make your comment, and I will get you super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody. Come on in here. Welcome in. Come on. Everybody's welcome into the studio that sits on the corner. The very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. Greg the Cooler strikes again. The little general is just more sad. That's all. Dallas Fanatic DC. More suffering for content now. I mean, Notre Dame can destroy Notre Dame from my basement with headlines and rumors. Hilarious national championship coming in 2026. Well, the national championship might be coming in 2026. Or more officially, 2027. Because Notre Dame is a true threat to win it all this year. Just like last year, just like the year before. They're absolutely stacked. Now, for all those other comments in that chat, I don't have a basement. We got a studio. We do not have a basement. And I'm not trying to destroy Notre Dame. Why would I want to do that? I'm an Irish Catholic. Why would I want to destroy the Notre Dame Fighting Irish? But Notre Dame, just like Texas and Oklahoma, just like USC, they don't control everything. Neither does the Big Ten and the SEC. That relationship with the ACC. Oh, it's still working for Notre Dame. It is still working for Notre Dame as long as the ACC remains the ACC. You saw what happened. Dallas and everybody else, you saw what happened when USC left the Pac-12. You saw what happened to the Pac-12. It's still there. It's not the same. It's still there, but it ain't the same. Same with the Big 12. Texas and Oklahoma, it's still there. Without Texas and Oklahoma, it ain't quite the same, but it's still there, but it ain't quite the same. Can you imagine a Florida State leaving the ACC? Can you imagine a Clemson leaving the ACC? Can you imagine North Carolina leaving the ACC? Now, let's go back here. I've had so many people say to me in the chat room, Greg, what would happen? What would happen, Greg? What would happen if Ohio State and Michigan left the Big Ten? It would be devastating. It would not be the same Big Ten. So again, Notre Dame, as huge, valuable brand that it is, the great university that it is, the great history, pageantry, fan base, it's all included, wrapped up in a bow. Go ahead and tie it. But they do not control the destiny of the ACC. They control a lot of it. Let's be honest here. Let's be honest. Let's all be honest. Notre Dame controls a lot. Notre Dame wanted the ACC to expand. The three out of the four most valuable brands in the ACC, Clemson, Florida State, and North Carolina, none of them wanted the ACC to expand. The ACC expanded. That relationship, I don't know what you want. Look, I'm not a psychologist. I only play one here at PATC. I'm not a psychologist. But there is a certain Stockholm syndrome that keeps appearing. And I think, I respect the hell out of Matt Baker. The Athletic, the person who wrote this article today, Matt Baker and Pete Sampson. Pete Sampson, a long time Notre Dame beat writer, Sports Irish Illustrated. I watched him. Fantastic job. Matt Baker did an incredible job at the Tampa Bay Times reporting on Clemson and Florida State and the whole court case with the ACC. And we're going to go through that article today from The Athletic. And we're going to go through it because a lot of you agree with that article. A lot of you want that article to be true. A lot of you are saying, great. Notre Dame doesn't want to leave their football independence. They don't want to leave, Greg. Don't you understand? Don't you understand, Greg? Don't you understand? Notre Dame has been football independence for all their lives. Why would they leave, Greg? You don't understand, Greg. Again, I reminded everybody at 10:47 a.m. this morning Central Time, the question has never been, does Notre Dame want to keep their quasi-football independence? It's all about, can the Irish maintain their football independence during this era of raging economic consolidation in college sports? Walls closing in has nothing to do with want. Now, there's a reason why there's 34 likes on here, because people are getting this want and need all twisted. Nobody who has any comprehension of college sports in the history of Notre Dame believes that Notre Dame is ever going to want to Of course they don't want to move their team, their football program out of independence. Of course not. It's part of their incredible brand. It's part of their ideology. It's part of who they are. USC didn't want to leave the Pac-12. I mean, it's different though. It is. Notre Dame is even tied stronger to their football independence. You only can count a handful of schools that could have ever given football independence this much of an effort. There's only a handful of schools that could have made football independence work for 100 plus years. Notre Dame is one of them. It's a credit to their value. It's a credit to their fan base. It's a credit to their national fan base. It's a credit to them. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you a peek around the corner that does not exist. There is an expiration date on the Notre Dame ACC relationship. Of course there is. There may even be an expiration date on the Michigan and Big Ten relationship, on Penn State Big Ten relationship, on Georgia and SEC relationship. Of course, forever is a very long time. But in this case, there is a definite expiration date on Notre Dame and ACC relationship, because the ACC, most likely, it is almost written in concrete. They're not going to remain who they are today. Most likely the ACC is going to remain, but it ain't going to be what it was. Great institutions in the ACC, just like great institutions in the Pac-12. But what is coming down on this ACC treehouse is raging era of economic consolidation. You can withstand it. You can build a bigger treehouse, a stronger treehouse, but eventually the treehouse is going to get blown over. And Notre Dame knows that. A lot of their fans know that. Some don't. That's fine. You can disagree. Put in the chat. Give us a call when we open up the phone lines. But Notre Dame has acted in accordance to try to stabilize everything. They wanted an ACC expansion. They wanted that backfield early, proactive. Stanford, SMU, greasing the skids, California. Notre Dame, Jack Swarbrick, Captain Jack Swarbrick, sitting there on the board of these ideas of a Super League, 70-team Super Leagues, in which Notre Dame would lose their football independence. Did you notice that? Even under Jack Swarbrick, Super League, backed by private equity, he signed his name on the dotted line even when he was the athletic director of Notre Dame, and Notre Dame would have to give up their football independence to be a part of the Super League. He was even willing to do that. They know. But remember, part of that equity, that massive private equity Super League, Notre Dame would have been permanently placed in the Elite 8 tier of league, Super League payouts, media money payouts. That's why Notre Dame was for that plan. They easily gave up their football independence for a 70-team Super League. Their own athletic director signed on that idea. Why? Why did he do that? Why was Notre Dame willing to do that? Because it gave them permanence. Top 18-tier Super League payout. It is getting more and more difficult for Notre Dame. Look, they got a lot. Look at the recruiting class. Look at the money they're spending. Notre Dame is not poor. There's no poverty in there. But again, it is coming from their massive, loyal, incredibly rich boosters and their invested fan base. But there's a reason why USC had to get the higher water. There's a reason why Texas and Oklahoma thought they needed to get the higher water. They've got rich boosters. They've got rich athletic departments because they understood years ago that the walls were closing in on them, not because they were not rich, not because they did not have this huge brand, not because they didn't have this incredible fan base, not because Oklahoma, Texas, USC, UCLA did not have incredible universities. They went to higher ground because why? Why are the walls closing in? It's because of this raging era of economic consolidations. That's what's happening. Notre Dame is going to hold out as long as it can. But in this article that we're going to go through today, in every article that I bring up to you at Peek Around the Corner, written by incredible national reporters, all of them doing a fantastic job, they never answer the question. They never even bring up the question in this article. They barely did. What happens? What happens to Clemson when they leave the ACC? What happens when Florida State leaves the ACC? They went to the court. Just so they could talk to the SEC and the Big Ten without violating the ACC grant of rights, without violating any legal, beagle reasons. Because the Big Ten and the SEC would not have first-party talks with Clemson and Florida State, as we here at Peek Around the Corner accurately reported to you for years. But now they can, because of Clemson and Florida State winning a massive case against the ACC. What happens? Does that relationship, think about it. Can Notre Dame truly maintain their college football independence with an ACC that does not consist of a Miami, of a Clemson, of a Florida State, of a North Carolina? While those schools go into larger, bigger conferences that are probably going to have larger and biggest conference slate of games. Every single Notre Dame fan in the chat room, every single one of them, knows what I'm about to say is true. Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, love their Olympic sports. It's part of their fiber. It's part of who they are. Without question. Notre Dame is doing exactly what they should be doing. Putting their money into the revenue sports. putting all that money into the football program. And my goodness, Notre Dame is a rocking and rolling. At the same time, Jack Swarbrick, Pete Bavacqua, they have said over and over and over again, the reason why the ACC relationship worked in 2012, 2014, 2016 is because it kept our other sports viable to make runs at national championships. Do you think that is true today? Notre Dame is already talking about cutting back on their Olympic sports. Other ACC institutions, they're priming the pump. They're all saying we got to spend less on our Olympic sports because they've all got to prime the pump. They've all got to put all that booster money, all those donations into the football program, into the men's basketball program. They have to. Right now they have to. Notre Dame is in a treehouse. There's 2 tornadoes coming. The Big Ten and the SEC. Look, we're just giving you the peek around the corner. We do not believe it's imminent, even though that picture looks like it is. But those tornadoes are swirling. They're both F5s. We are going to go through an article today, again from The Athletic, that reads, and again, I love both writers. And you can go ahead and agree with it. Put in the comment section. I see Irish Ryan gave us a super chat. Thank you, Irish Ryan. I very much appreciate your generosity. We'll go to it in a moment. This article felt like a pep talk. You know, one of the people who wrote this article is Pete Sampson. Again, I think he's absolutely fantastic. Just a few months ago, Pete Sampson, it was in January or February, he made a bold prediction. A bold prediction what would happen in 2026 in The Athletic. One of his bold predictions was Notre Dame was going to take out all their sports in the ACC and put it either in the Big East or the Big Ten. And why did he say that? Because he knows that Notre Dame knows that the ACC most likely here now and definitely in the near future probably is not the place to park Notre Dame's Olympic sports. Pete Sampson wrote it. I didn't write it. Pete Sampson wrote it. I think today was a little bit of a pep talk. It sounds like an article that should have been written in 2019, not in 2026. There's really only one paragraph. You know what? I'm not going to spoil it. We'll get to it. We'll get to it when we can. Let me go to some very kind super chats, and then we are going to be doing our last Power 5 Spotlight. Holy smokes. Let me show you guys something here. Tennessee is our 68th Spotlight that we have done in the off season. We started with Miami, USC, Boston College, Kentucky, Baylor, Auburn, Cincinnati, Houston, Duke, California, beloved Minnesota, Georgia Tech, Michigan, Michigan State, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, the Oklahoma State Cowboys, Nebraska, Vanderbilt, Virginia, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, West Virginia, South Carolina, Wisconsin, Eva Badgers, BYU, your Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Utah, Ohio State, Purdue, Iowa, North Carolina, Syracuse, Mississippi State, and Florida. We went to LSU, North Carolina State, Northwestern, Arizona State, Maryland, TCU, UCLA, SMU, Alabama, Missouri, and Illinois. Then we went to UCF, Penn State, Stanford, Texas Tech, Kansas State, Kansas, Washington, Pittsburgh, Clemson, Texas, Oregon, national champion, the Indiana Hoosiers. Then we finish it off. Ole Miss, Colorado, Louisville, Iowa State, Rutgers, Florida State, Arkansas, and Tennessee. Tennessee's the last Power 4 spotlight we are doing here. We'll be finishing it off. But then starting tomorrow, we're going to go and cover the G6 schools, the teams that I believe have an outside shot at a playoff berth in this 12-team playoffs 2026. Now, I've got some of the usuals, right? Boise State, James Madison made it last year. We've got North Dakota State, Mountain West Conference. We're going to be covering them. Western Michigan, I think, is a sneaky pick. San Diego State. Delaware, well, we'll leave Delaware to last. I don't even think any of you PATC Einsteins have Delaware winning the Conference USA. But we do. We do, and we think there is a shot that Delaware can be the G6 representative in the playoffs. So those are the schools that we're going to be going through. Spotlight on the G6 schools. First of all, but today is the Tennessee Volunteers. Our very last Power 4 program under the spotlight during this offseason. Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss, Greg the Cooler, back again. Oh my God! Oh my God! I'm hoping, no, I'm not hoping. I know, Preston, I know that Greg the Gold just been delayed. Nothing to worry about. Everybody relax. That wasn't a college football prediction. We're going to be okay. Please let everything be okay. We got the Irish Ryan Super Chat, $2 holla. Notre Dame Day, love it. Go Irish, to hell with the ACC. Wow. And we got another super chat from the Irish Ryan. Greg, I've been a lifelong Notre Dame fan. I've heard this for 30 plus years, that independence is dead. Us Notre Dame fans just look like it now. What? No, there is a lot happening, but there's always been upheaval. Thank you for the $10 holler, Ryan. I very much appreciate it. You're correct. I cannot deny any of what Ryan just said. Notre Dame fans have been told that the walls have been closing in on their independence forever. So, I get it. It's the boy who cried wolf. Now, again, here at Peek Around the Corner, even when we were breaking the USC story, the Washington and Oregon story, we never said that Notre Dame joining the Big Ten was imminent. We did report that Notre Dame had a decision to make quickly after USC joined the Big Ten. And Notre Dame did make that decision real quick. They told the Big Ten, we're not in. USC lobbied Notre Dame, but Notre Dame told the Big Ten real quick. Right after June 30th, 2022, Notre Dame said, nope. But then again, Notre Dame fans, the Big Ten and Notre Dame have never stopped talking. And they haven't stopped talking this year. That is for sure. And again, it was PATC It was BTM that gave us the information. We were the ones that broke Notre Dame to the Big Ten in men's hockey. And I got to tell you, I was not happy. But I had to report it. And the reason why Notre Dame took their hockey program into the Big Ten was because Notre Dame did not like the disadvantage that they were at in Hockey East. They did not like the travel. The other Hockey East teams were able to bust to each other's games, and Notre Dame was at a traveling disadvantage. And now Notre Dame definitely would not leave Big Ten hockey because of what is happening in hockey right now, where you even need money in hockey to compete with the NIL and things of that nature. Notre Dame, this is a bigger deal, though, to take all your sports. See, the ACC relationship worked for Notre Dame. It has worked for Notre Dame. I don't know how anybody can deny that it hasn't worked for Notre Dame. The ACC network was a beautiful thing for Notre Dame. It gave exposure to the Olympic sports. But during all of this, especially after the ACC schools signed a grant of rights that went from 2016, and then they signed the extension of grant of rights 2016 to 2036. That was a godsend, no pun intended, to Notre Dame, to their stability. The ACC wasn't going to go anywhere. It wasn't going to fracture. The creation of the ACC network that spurred on that grant of rights extension, that was the give and take between ESPN and the ACC. That was incredible for Notre Dame. The relationship has been working for Notre Dame. But things are completely different now. And I don't think, and this is no, I'm not taking I'm not taking a shot at any one person here, but there's a lot of feet of clay out there. Nobody, 99% of the people out there never thought USC was going to join the Big Ten. How do I know that? Because my DMs, which I have, we've got thousands of receipts on that. No one could have imagined it, but it was happening. It had to happen from the USC perspective. They had to get to higher ground because the economics of consolidation in college sports. Same thing with Texas and Oklahoma. Things are completely different now than they were 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. The student athletes are getting paid directly from the athletic departments. It is so different now than when it was before. It is so different now than it was before that the Big Ten and the SEC are fearful that a private equity firm is going to come on in here and offer the top half of the SEC, top half of the Big Ten, and create a super league among the top programs. Just like Babak was said. The ability of great change now is so much more than it was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So if you believe all that can happen, even Bavakwa believes that could happen. He doesn't want it to happen. He doesn't want the 2014 Super League, but of course he believes it can happen. Sankey believes it can happen. Petiti thinks it can happen. If that can happen, well then of course Notre Dame having to join the conference in this raging era of economic consolidation, of course that can happen. It's only logical. What the last SEC contract, when they changed their Tier 1 contract from CBS to ABC, which is Disney, it was so massive. It was huge. The percentage of increase. It was so big that Texas and Oklahoma said, yeah, they finally did it. Austin, Texas. The University of Texas, who swore off ever joining the Southeastern Conference. They almost joined the Pac-12. They were an eyelash away from agreeing to join the Pac-12. They were never going to join the Southeastern Conference. But they did. I wonder why. You want to know why? Because the SEC's contract and the value of the Southeastern Conference skyrocketed. And then it's going to skyrocket again relative to everybody else. The Big Ten. When they were in the midst of their media contract, USC called the Big Ten, as we reported accurately. USC looked at football independence. USC looked at all their options. None of it. They had to do it. They did it. So when I say that, look, a lot of people think I'm going after Notre Dame. I'm not going after Notre Dame. I'm giving you the accurate peek around the corner as we see it. Notre Dame has an option. They have options because they're so valuable, not because they're not valuable. They have remained college football independents because they are incredibly valuable, not because they're not. To be a standalone football product, 7 home games, you can't pull it off unless you're Notre Dame, maybe Ohio State, Michigan. There's only a handful of schools that could even possibly make it work. But again, there are other changes that are happening. There are other changes that are happening in college football that was not around 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. There is the threat of the Cruz-Cantwell bill that Notre Dame is sort of supporting and they're kind of not supporting because some of it is in their wheelhouse, some of it they love, some of it they do not want at all. And then you've got the threat, even if the Cruz and Cantwell bill goes down in flames, you got the threat of next year and the year after that and the year after that. You've got the Big Ten and the SEC drawing out plans for really the first time ever, drawing out plans of some sort of collective bargaining with their student athletes. The Big Ten is in agreement with Bavakwa on a luxury tax or Olympic sports tax, a soft cap. It is so different now than it was 2 years ago, so different now than it was 3 years ago, so different now than it was 5 years ago. To maintain this position that Notre Dame can keep going and going and going and going. Even Notre Dame don't believe that. Marcus Freeman has said it in public. Bavakwa has said it in public. Bavakwa has said it in public in interviews. Go Google it. That if the Big Ten and the SEC keeps adding on conference games, it's going to be very difficult. Marcus Freeman, he's made it really clear that he's been in meetings at Notre Dame saying this, if this thing keeps going the way it is, more conference games, we're going to have no choice but to join the conference. We're going to go through an article from The Athletic that I think a lot of you, if you do not agree with what I'm saying, you're going to like the article. So again, we present different angles of information, different point of views. We are going to go through that article. I do appreciate everybody coming on in here. We got about 186 people in the house. I do appreciate it. We've got the Evil Badger. The Evil Badger, my goodness. Will Greg and the Little General boycott Culver's after the sponsorship deal with Wisconsin? No, we will not. No, we will not. The only thing I will boycott from Culver's is a cheeseburger. Everything else, I'm good to go. I'm good to go, Evil Badger. Thank you for the $5 holler. I appreciate it. The fat guy from Minnesota, my stomach overrules my loyalty to the Golden Gophers. Okay? All right? That's the truth. There's transparency for you. Okay. Thank you so much, Evil Badger. I appreciate it. Let me make sure I'm all cut up. And then we're going to get into the program here. Enough with my speechification. We got a lot to get to here. Again, I'm waiting on the heartbreak. I'm waiting on the heartbreak of Minnesota Timberwolves not getting LeBron James in free agency. I'm just sitting here. I'm waiting. I'm hitting the refresh button. I just want to go through the pain. Now, I'm getting a lot of people, LeBron James has been a great basketball player. I'm a Michael Jordan guy when it comes to that discussion. I'm Michael Jordan all the way. I don't even think it's close. But of course, LeBron James has been an outstanding basketball player for a long, long, long time. But if I wanted LeBron James on the Minnesota Timberwolves, no. 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 Except now. Except now. I'm that desperate. I am that desperate. I'm so tired of being the re-elected mayor of Loserville City. I have not seen a men's professional world champion in the state of Minnesota since 1991. 1987 and 1991, that's it. I've been around since 1968. I have not seen a Minnesota NBA world champion. I have not seen a Minnesota NFL Super Bowl champion. The Vikings have been here since 1961, 0-4 in the Super Bowls. Minnesota, the state of hockey, and it is the true state of hockey. no Stanley Cups. I'm so desperate. I'm selling my soul. 41-year-old LeBron James. Join Minnesota. Play with Anthony Edwards. LaMelo Ball. You don't even have to bring the ball up. Jaden McDaniel will guard the best opponent wing player, offensive wing player. No question. You got Rudy Gobert behind. You don't even have to play defense. You don't even have to play defense. Forget about the coldness. Forget about the winters. Forget about it. Just come to Minnesota. I am desperate. Am I embarrassing myself? Yes. Yes, I am. Come to Minnesota, LeBron James. We've got OBD done. $50 holla. Ooh. Been hanging with the Aggies drone infiltrating department. Cautiously, they're watching a couple of twisters and a treehouse. Spotted Josh Pate crew. Oh, yeah. But much to my surprise, spotted Greg the Refrigerator, Cold, Perry, and a beat-up yellow Pinto Wonder. Thank you for the $50 holler. Massive super chat OPD done. Again, the problem with using the tornadoes is the tornadoes don't exist very long, right? The funnel clouds are only funneling for so long. I don't believe, again, I've been saying this for 3 years, I do not believe anything is imminent. So this picture doesn't really work in that aspect. But again, when we go through the article, Jim Phillips, I don't know, guys. I don't think, I know he's not this, I know he's not clueless to what is going on. He's putting up a good face. I think this is like a pep talk type of article. Yeah. Thank you, Opie. Thank you so very much. I appreciate your incredible support once again. Irish Ryan, thank you, OPD done. Purple and gold. Purple and gold. The drones, the Aggies drones. Greg, you have been correct about many things and love the show. Notre Dame is a different bird. The sources are tough to maintain. You have done well with it. Let me thank you so much for your kindness, Ryan. I know we disagree on this. Let me just say one more thing on this before we go on to our show. Go back and read what Captain Jack Swarbrick or whoever commented. Go back and go read what Notre Dame said at the time they made their ACC, when it was announced that they were joining the ACC and all the sports except for football. Captain Jack Swarbrick said that thank goodness this deal came about. If it wasn't for this deal, we would not have been able to maintain our football independence. Now the ACC needs Notre Dame more, especially now. But Notre Dame needed a place to put their Olympic sports in to where they compete at the highest levels. This worked for Notre Dame. But if the ACC is not this ACC, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, I don't know how Notre Dame can maintain it. All right, we'll get into it. The Evil Badger has seen two Super Bowl titles, an NBA title, and the Brewers were screwed in 1982. Thank you, Evil Badger. I appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. All right, let's get into it, guys and gals. Thank you, Eva Badger, Irish Ryan, OBD Don, massive super chat. Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Here it is. College football PATC Spotlight Series. Quarterback George McIntyre. Again, who is going to win the quarterback battle at Tennessee? George McIntyre or Faison Braden? Who is going to win that quarterback battle? George McIntyre, he's been there, of course, he's been there, right? He's played a couple of the games. When he came out of the 2025 high school class, he was a 4-star recruit, 17th quarterback in the nation. 17th rated quarterback in the nation in this high school class. Mr. Brannon was the 3rd quarterback national ranked in the 2026 high school class. 5-star recruit, 6'4", 215 pounds. Who's going to win that battle? JD Vol 98, thanks for coming on in. Who's going to win that big orange battle? Now, of course, George McIntyre has the advantages. He's probably the slight favorite, right? You rarely see a true freshman quarterback start game 1 in SEC football. So you got to go with George McIntyre. Now, one of the comforting things here as a volunteer, if you are a volunteer fan, is Josh Heupel. I mean, my goodness. If anybody can develop one of these quarterbacks quick, it is Josh Heupel and his system. He has shown absolute brilliance. Absolute brilliance in developing his quarterback, having his offense work for his quarterback, whatever quarterback he has in there. So that is the story right now at Tennessee. George McIntyre or Faison Brandon. And now J.D. Vol says the tea leaves are pointing towards the true freshman. Boy, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Holy smokes. Anyways, that is what you got to watch for. And it makes it difficult, really, to project the Tennessee Volunteers season this year. But two very talented dudes. And again, this Bishop, man, holy smokes. Over 1,000 yards rushing. 5.9 average per rush. 16 rushing TDs. Deshaun Bishop comes back to Tennessee. Now he's going to have to help his young quarterback out, whoever that is, McIntyre or Brandon. Right? You don't have Joey Aguilar. You don't have Joey Swagular in the back, who played all those years at App State. You're going to have a true quarterback that hasn't seen the live bullets. Bishop is really going to have to carry that offense, at least at the beginning of the season. Now, they lost a big-time wide receiver in the NFL draft, but they do get back Braylon Staley 68 receptions, 837 yards receiving, 12.3 average per reception, 6 receiving touchdowns. That's fantastic wide receiver. It was wide receiver number 2 for Tennessee last year. They've also got Mike Matthews coming back. 53 receptions, 813 yards, 15.4 average per reception. So you got a couple of guys who've been productive, targeted, played a lot of snaps for Tennessee. Should be able to help the young quarterbacks out. Bishop, Staley, Matthews. What about the defense? Well, I don't know. They had a lot of injuries last year in the secondary, right? They lost a couple of studs. Josh Heupel went and fired Tim Banks, he was there for more than a couple of years. I don't remember how long Banks was there, but more than a couple of years. But they did bring in defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, Penn State. I'm going to go ahead and put the spotlight on this young man. He was an all-SEC true freshman. I think it was second team or third team. Ty Redmond, true freshman last season. 11 pass defenses. That's a high number. He was targeted and he held up pretty good. Remember, Tennessee had a bunch of injuries in the secondary last year. Redmond had to play a lot. 25 solo tackles, 43 combination, 3 interceptions. So look for Ty Redmond. Real good young player. Now, the Tennessee Volunteers made a huge get in the portal to get Chaz Coleman from Penn State, a defensive lineman that has got a lot of ability, but it did not work out, just like it did not work out at Penn State. I don't know what Chaz Coleman is doing now. He left the program. I don't know if he's hopefully he's getting help if he needs help with I don't want to say, but hopefully Chaz Coleman, hopefully this is another minor setback for a major comeback. But Tennessee had to cut ties with Chaz Coleman. They did bring in Amari Campbell from Penn State, linebacker, who I think will probably start. I know he's pretty talented dude himself. So I think the Volunteer fans could focus on Amari Campbell and forget about Chaz Coleman. It just did not work out. Defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, that's a pretty big get for the Volunteers. Josh Heupel can just give him control of that side of the football. The football schedule: Furman, then Georgia Tech at Georgia Tech. Tennessee Volunteers, defense against the run is going to be challenged right out of the gate. Right out of the gate, because Georgia Tech, that is going to be a running football program, guys. You've got Justice Haynes and you've got Housley, who had a fantastic year last year for the Rambling Wreck. Georgia Tech is going to run it with Alberto Mendoza as the quarterback right away. Tennessee is going to be challenged, the defense against the run, and we're going to find out what happens there. It's going to be a great indicator if the Tennessee defense, Jim Knowles, can hold up against the running games of the SEC. The first Southeastern Conference game is against the Longhorns at home, September 26th. Tennessee, Texas. Then at home against Auburn. So the first 2 conference games are at home. Then on the road to Arkansas. At home against Alabama. On the road to South Carolina. At home against Kentucky. On the road to Texas A&M. At home against LSU. And hopefully for the Volunteers, they get some revenge from last year on the road to Vanderbilt. The second half of the schedule, you've got LSU, Texas A&M. You've got Alabama in the middle. You've got Texas at the beginning. What do y'all think? Because the Southeastern Conference has got a lot of experienced quarterbacks. We've talked about this. This is why I believe the Southeastern Conference is going to rise again this year. They're going to get off the mat. They've got a lot of experienced quarterbacks in the SEC. A lot of production. And Tennessee doesn't have that. If you go look at this, Texas, Arch Manning, LSU, Sam Levitt, Gunnar Stockton, Trinidad Chambliss. It's unbelievable. Texas A&M. Now Alabama, Keelan Russell. Florida, I think Philo with the offensive coordinator also coming from Georgia Tech is going to be right. You've got Mentir. You've got Lenore Sellers. You've got Auburn with Byron Brown. You got Vanderbilt with the new quarterback. Arkansas is going to have a quarterback, A.J. Hill or K.J. Jackson. We don't know what's going to happen there. Mississippi State, again, with Minchie, Kentucky. And Tennessee is sitting there with 2 guys who haven't played. So we've got South Carolina coming in 9th. Tennessee coming in 10th. South Carolina coming in 9th. And Tennessee and South Carolina play each other. So let me know where I should have Tennessee. Should I move them up? Should I move them down? Should I have them going ahead of Oklahoma and Florida? I don't know. Again, the quarterback position, Josh Heupel does a fantastic job. But neither of those guys, it's going to be interesting. Georgia Tech. At Georgia Tech. Is it going to be Brandon or is it going to be McIntyre? Put it down in the comments. Put it in the chat room. Who do you think is going to be quarterback 1, QB 1 for the Tennessee Volunteers to begin the season? And that finishes off our Spotlight series for all the Power 4 programs across the country. Thank you for being with us as we have delivered this over 68 different live shows since we've begun the process with the Miami Hurricanes all the way back since April 13th. And then tomorrow we are going to be starting our G6. Boise State is the first one that is going to be on the spotlight for the G6 programs. All right, let's get into it. Let's get into this article. Thank you, Preston. I appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. We do not go through the whole article. We do not go through the whole article. We go through a lot of it, but not the whole thing. Go check out The Athletic, Pete Sampson, Matt Baker. Are Notre Dame in the ACC good? Is the relationship okay now? Here's why the football relationship is still working. Pete Sampson, Matt Baker, as the ACC's growing financial gap with the Big Ten and the SEC loomed in 2017, One athletic director threw out an idea to address it. What about another round of conference realignment, like adding Texas? It might force Notre Dame to do the same. Then Florida State Athletic Director Stan Wilcock wrote, although Notre Dame has long cherished its football independence, the Irish were entering the fourth season of the scheduling arrangement with the ACC. It was reasonable to wonder whether Notre Dame would expand its partial ACC membership into a complete affiliation that would boost the league's prestige, buoy the bottom line, and perhaps starve off any existential threats. The response from Duke's then AD and former Notre Dame athletic director Kevin White, never say never. Never say never. It might work. Little has changed about the Irish liminal status with the league since that exchange, which was obtained by the Athletic through the open records request. At best, the dynamic remains a little awkward. Football coaches have been grumbling that the Irish should join the conference. Since the scheduling deal was announced in 2012, administrators will gush about everything Notre Dame adds while in the same breath acknowledging the sweetheart deal the ACC had to accept to make it happen. At worst, the unique relationship seems like a forced marriage of convenience with an expiration date. And that is what we believe at Peek Around the Corner. We believe this relationship most definitely has an expiration date. Whatever tension surrounds the Notre Dame ACC dynamic, the partnership still feels more like a solution than a problem. The Athletic spoke with a dozen people in and around the ACC and Notre Dame. They were unanimous that the arrangement, while imperfect, continues to help both entities more than it hurts them. Notre Dame helped the ACC launch its own network and serves as a ticket office and TV ratings cheat code. In exchange, the Irish have received a football schedule and inventory boost and a stable home for other championship caliber programs like men's lacrosse and women's basketball. The deal has formed the backdrop for memorable football moments on both sides. Clemson's Bring Your Own Guts win and a monsoon kick-started Dabo Swinney's dynasty in 2015, just as Marcus Freeman got his footing with the Irish by stomping Swinney's Tigers 7 years later. To me, this is a mutually beneficial relationship, ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips said. I would say it has not felt any different from the day I walked into this job 5.5 years ago. It just hasn't. No different. Really. Really. So was Notre Dame's broadside of the ACC actually just another step in a functional partnership rather than the foundational crack it appeared to be? Notre Dame and the ACC still mesh academically. The ACC boasts 7 private schools. Notre Dame would be the 8th. The other power conferences have 6 total. Of the ACC's 18 members, including the Irish outside of football, 16 are ranked among the nation's 75 schools by the U.S. News and World Report. 7 join Notre Dame in the top 40. Every school but Wake Forest is classified as a top-tier research institution. Fantastic schools in the ACC. Absolutely. It does mesh academically. The Irish benefit from access to Power 4 opponents in October and November, while everyone else is in a conference play. That point seems more critical now for two reasons. All major conferences have added a ninth league game, providing fewer openings for an independent opponent, and big name programs are rethinking aggressive approaches to non-conference scheduling. Notre Dame lost its rivalry with USC when the Trojans backed out amid Big Ten scheduling concerns. When the angst over Notre Dame's new college football playoff selection criteria, the Irish would get an automatic bid with a top 12 ranking, spilled into the open in December, the rule change was a revelation for some coaches, but old news for athletic directors. Notre Dame skipping bowl season irked coaches, but didn't move many athletic directors. Really? Those are both football-centric things. So it's coming from a group of coaches that's already not hot, but their RPMs are idling higher, said one ACC athletic director, speaking on condition of anonymity in exchange for candor. Bavacqua accusing the ACC of plotting against Notre Dame during the run-up to the playoff only increased that temperature. The ACC has stumped for Miami on social media, touting the Hurricanes' head-to-head win over the Irish. The ACC contends it didn't advocate for Notre Dame to be out, just that Miami should get in first and ahead of Alabama. Two, according to internal league talking points obtained through a public records request. Notre Dame barely campaigned for itself until the final week, perhaps learning the same lesson in the value of self-promotion the ACC got 2 years earlier when the undefeated Florida State Seminoles were dumped from the 14 field following the Jordan Travis injury. Ultimately, for all the personal connections, the Notre Dame ACC relationship is still a business partnership. Any attorney will tell you the sign of a good negotiation is that neither party gets everything it wants in the final agreement. That's where the league and the school have been from the start. Notre Dame hasn't grown into a full-time member, but that hasn't stopped hopes from bubbling up occasionally, as shown by email correspondence obtained by The Athletic. In 2021, Florida State administrators shared this column from The Athletic, telling Phillips why he needed to convince Notre Dame to join the league in football. I really don't think this should be that hard, one trustee responded. Unfortunately, we've already given them what they wanted. Every sport but football in the conference, 5 football games locked in, and they get to keep their football money. You've already, again, this has worked for Notre Dame. No question about it. It continues to work for Notre Dame. But there are tornadoes outside of the ACC treehouse. We'll get to that in a moment. Coaches haven't stopped calling for Notre Dame to join, but other parts of the push and pull between the ACC and Notre Dame have evolved. It has evolved. When Clemson, Florida State, and Miami get sent to South Bend, it's usually in early November. Notre Dame might want its Clemson and Stanford series to count as part of its 5-game rotation of league opponents, but the ACC insists that's not happening. When Miami and Virginia wanted to move dates with Notre Dame to accommodate other opponents, all parties worked through it. When the ACC wanted Notre Dame to open up the road on Labor Day weekend at Florida State and at Louisville, the Irish didn't complain. That's about not having to get it your way all the time in every element of it, Phillips said. Every game against Notre Dame is a marquee game that attracts lots of attention for the ACC school that's playing them and the ACC in general, says Lizney Connor, a consultant who has advised schools on finances and conference realignment. Two important metrics, viewership and attendance, back that up. Notre Dame brings a whole lot of money to the ACC in different ways. Of the ACC's 50 most viewed regular season games since their football scheduling agreement took the field in 2014, only Florida State played in more than Notre Dame, according to viewership data compiled by Sports Media Watch. There is a list of the most viewed ACC games since 2014. Notre Dame at Florida State is at the top. Florida State at Alabama. Notre Dame at Miami. Alabama at Florida State. LSU at Clemson. Florida State versus Georgia Tech. Clemson at Notre Dame. Clemson at Notre Dame. Louisville at Clemson. Florida State versus LSU. Scroll past the marquee matchups, and the Irish keep inflating ratings. Last year, Notre Dame was the most watched regular season matchup for Boston College, Stanford, and Pitt. The Panthers' 3-score loss to the Irish drew twice as many viewers as their overtime contest with backyard brawl rival West Virginia. So the backyard brawl, Pittsburgh and West Virginia, 1.89 million. Panthers getting whooped by Notre Dame, 3.96 million. Forecasting how college sports looks at the end of this decade is a fool's errand. So Phillips won't really try. The conference now rewards its football heavyweights by incentivizing success on the field and on TV. It's why Clemson led the league in revenue distribution a year ago, banking $55.1 million. Again, still $20 million behind the Big Ten. About $12 million more than the ACC average. Next year, Miami will go even higher because the leagues allowed the Hurricanes to keep their full share from its run to the national championship game, a similar windfall to the one Notre Dame enjoyed 2 years ago. And finally, in the article. And we're going to end it here. This is the PATC money shot of the article. It's possible that the Irish follow Florida State, Clemson, and other big brands out the door to the Big Ten, SEC, or a Super League as the ACC exit fee drops steadily to $75 million by 2030-31. It's also possible that the federal legislation or market forces freeze future rounds of realignment. It's hard enough to know what's coming next week, let alone next decade. Still, Phillips believes the future for Notre Dame and the ACC will look a lot like the past. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it because even though here at Peek Around the Corner, we have reported for 3 years on every live show, nothing is imminent, nothing is done, nothing is signed, sealed, and delivered. But we have re-reported you all the positioning that has been going on that we know of. We reported to you that the SEC and the Big Ten were forming this option of the quick strike, and then 10 days later, Ross Dellinger reported on it, talking about the shot clock. But we also remain convinced that nothing is imminent. But these schools are not acting like they're going to stick around. They're giving full court press. Clemson and Florida State went to the courts. We gave you the information last week about a hot bubble of action between North Carolina and the Southeastern Conference. We believe there has been other hot bubble of actions, but we can't quite confirm them to the level of the North Carolina SEC. I don't know how, again, I don't blame Jim Phillips for saying what he says in public. I don't blame him for saying it. But I don't think you guys can blame me for not believing it. The ACC is going to change. I think it's still going to exist. It's still going to have great institutions. But the era of economic consolidation, it's not over. It's not over. Now, I do agree with Matt Baker. He makes a very good point here. It's also possible that federal legislation or market forces freeze future rounds of realignment. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. That federal legislation could pass. The Senate, the House, I don't think it's going to. Not the way it's written. But I guess it's possible that would freeze all conference realignment. I do think the Big Ten would take it to the courts. I think they would win. But that's a possibility. I think it's very small. Also, the other possibility is economic forces. It freezes. In other words, media companies are not interested in more consolidation. Amazon and Netflix suddenly do not want in. We have a World War III. We have a depression. All of that could stop further consolidation. But the chalk, the heavy chalk, is that we are going to have another round of consolidation. That is what the Southeastern Conference has been planning on. That's what the Big Ten has been planning on. The Big 12 is planning on it. They don't know how it's going to go. They don't know exactly what's going to happen with the Big Ten SEC, but they're prepared. Everyone's preparing. Everyone is preparing to go and try to get new markets in Europe, in the Middle East, in South America in the next 10, 15, 20 years. We have this enrollment cliff. This enrollment cliff is absolutely devastating for a lot of schools. A lot of them. And it really hurts the smaller schools the most, smaller private schools the most, because they're not backed by state government. The enrollment cliff basically demands consolidation among the colleges. Having student athletes get paid pushed this wave of economic consolidation. Having streaming coming in and wanting the piece of, and again, they really haven't even entered into the picture yet, but they're going to. There's so many forces out there. There is so big of forces out there that the top half of the Big Ten, top half of the SEC, and some ACC schools and Notre Dame might join some 24, 28 team Super League because there's so much money out there. The forces are massive. So again, it's a heavy, heavy, heavy chalk that Notre Dame ain't going to be able to withstand all of this sitting in the ACC treehouse. It's not logical. Bundled content is more valuable than standalone content. The Southeastern Conference Network, the Big Ten Network, they brought in so much more ad money than the Longhorn Network that could barely show any live content for the Texas Longhorns. Bundled content. Bundled Tier 1 content, bundled Tier 2 content, bundled Tier 3 content. The reason why Kentucky created an LLC, the reason why North Carolina just created an LLC, reason why people are trying to bundle what they own and create leverage with it as they sell it into the market. Be it their merchandise, be it their jersey pack, whatever it is. Bundle, 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 bundle. And the conferences are trying to work it out to where they can bundle some of the content of the schools. They have a major conference jersey patch. And other items. And then, of course, there is the collective bargaining. Is these conferences going in their silos, probably creating more conference games? And I don't mean collective bargaining in the traditional sense. I'm talking about I don't know how they're going to do it. All of this works against Notre Dame's ability to stay football independence. All of it. Now, I do think for a lot of people, it's not going to hit home. None of this, when I talk about Notre Dame, a lot of people get glassy-eyed. And I don't blame you. Because it's the boy who cried wolf over the last 50 years. But when it happens, when North Carolina is able to pull the trigger, when a Clemson and a Florida State is able to pull the trigger, and Notre Dame is not a part of that first wave, I think reality is going to hit, because the Southeastern Conference is looking out for the Southeastern Conference. The Big 12 looking out for the Big 12. The ACC is looking out for the ACC. That's why they sued Clemson and Florida State before Clemson and Florida State could sue them. Notre Dame voted to sue Clemson and Florida State. Notre Dame pushed the AC expansion. This worked for Notre Dame for now. Notre Dame doesn't want Clemson to leave the ACC. Notre Dame doesn't want Florida State to leave the ACC. Notre Dame doesn't want Miami to leave the ACC. Notre Dame don't want North Carolina to leave because because they know their football independence hangs by a thread if any of that begins to happen. This article doesn't really go into, it touches upon it at the very end, but it doesn't say what would happen. It just says Notre Dame may join those other schools if they... I think Notre Dame has to join. I think Notre Dame has to go to higher ground if and when those other schools and the SEC and the Big Ten pull the trigger. I don't see the ACC losing their top 4, 5, 6 brands. I don't know how that could. Great institutions, there's still going to be great institutions, great athletic departments, But just because they're mostly private schools, and I think the ACC network, I think all of it will be under threat. I'm going to open up the phone lines. Let me know what you're thinking here. First, I do want to thank the 200 people that have joined us. I appreciate it. We've got OBD done $10. Holla. Mr. G. Cole, just a reminder, it's been over 4 years of not intimate now. Imminent. I think you meant imminent. Too much happening now. Why we're more than one half the way. Two things. Congress just being Congress. SEC quiet. UNC meeting 7127. I still hold on to the fact that nothing is imminent yet. That could change, Opie. I could come up here tomorrow and say things are imminent, just like we did with Colorado, Washington, Oregon, and of course the USC story that we broke. It's not imminent. One of the main reasons is this ain't the best time for the Big Ten and the SEC to negotiate with their media partners. SEC has one, Big Ten has many. The timing isn't right. It's just the calendar. The closer that they get to the end of the current media contract, the more leverage the conference has. So just the pure calendar doesn't work. But you also have the other part where the House settlement happened. They weren't going to do anything then. They're trying to get it codified. They weren't going to do anything then. And then you got the Cruz-Cantwell bill, and they're probably not going to do anything. But again, if that bill passes how it's written, with realignment freezing, the SEC has prepared for the quick strike. So has the Big Ten. Lots of reasons why nothing is imminent yet. One of the reasons why it remains a possibility is because the forces of economic consolidation. The Southeastern Conference is going to get richer. The Southeastern Conference, the gap between the Southeastern Conference and the ACC is going to explode even more. The gap between the Big Ten and the ACC is going to get larger. It's just the way it's going to happen. The forces of economic consolidation is what's getting everybody prepared, but it's still not quite the right time to do it. Unless that bill gets scheduled in the Senate, people get nervous, Sankey gets a trigger finger, and all, the emotions happen. All I can say is we're going to be covering every bit of part of that here at Peek Around the Corner. We are going to be poking and prodding and see if something does pop to be imminent at any time. Thank you, OPD Don. Thanks once again for the $10 holler. We got Helmer Hennessy. Go USA. Greg has frozen SEC completely solid. Let me just check here. I'm just checking my notes. The Pac-12 will be the only FBS conference not hosting media days. They're the only ones that are going to be not holding media days. Kevin Gusowich is coming back to Michigan State. The president of Michigan State was going to go to Clemson. He agreed to go to Clemson. Today, breaking news, startling breaking news, Kevin Gusowich going back to Michigan State. Holy smokes. Unbelievable. We've got Auburn and we've got Alabama, who had joined Texas and Texas A&M in sending letters to the lawmakers opposing its current form of the Protect College Sports Act. So that came out today. We've got Big 12 Media Days starting tomorrow. We're gonna be following the Big 12 Media Days, July 7th, July 8th. This is the all Big 12 roster voted on by the media of the 16 media people who cover the 16 Big 12 teams. L.J. Martin, Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year, A.J. Holmes, Defensive Lineman, Red Raiders. Newcomer of the Year, Drew Messmaker, Oklahoma State quarterback. Noah Fafita is the 2026 preseason All Big 12 quarterback. Noah Fafita ahead of Bear Bachmeier. Interesting. Look at his Cam Cook, running back, West Virginia. L.J. Martin, of course, BYU. You got a fullback in there, Caden Luke, West Virginia. Wide receivers are Omari Miller, Arizona State, Amari Thomas, Houston, Wyatt Young, Oklahoma State. Tight end, Terrence Kater, Texas Tech. Offensive lineman, we actually did a spotlight on Joe Cotton, Cincinnati, great offensive lineman. Hurst, Houston, Mitchell, BYU, Pastora, Kansas State. Got the kicker from Texas Tech, once again, Harrington. Defensive line, C.J. Fight, Arizona State. Wendell Gregory, who we had on the spotlight, defensive lineman, Kansas State. Of course, A.J. Holmes. Canoe, BYU. We got Trick, the defensive lineman, Texas Tech, the transfer from Miami of Ohio we talked about. Ben Roberts was under the spotlight here at Peek Around the Corner, linebacker. Romaine, Texas Tech. Woo! The Red Raiders defense is gonna be incredible. Absolutely incredible. Bryce Pollock, D-back, Texas Tech, we had under the spotlight. Okay, guys, so that's the Big 12, all Big 12, according to the media who covered the Big 12. Okay, let's go to your phone calls. Open up the phone line, 763-260-1333, 763-260-1333. Again, I appreciate everybody for joining us today on a beautiful Monday, July 6th. Tomorrow we'll cover the Big 12 Media Days, plus everything else that happens in college football.
From
Mohr Simmons.
Mohr Simmons, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir. I appreciate it.
Yes, Greg. Hey, excuse me.
Yep.
We had a conversation a while back on one of your shows,
Yep.
and you brought up the fact that the Big Ten, just solely looking at the Power 2, Big Ten TV ratings and the SEC TV ratings correct me if I'm wrong. Did we have an understanding that the SEC TV ratings are ahead and leading the Big Ten in TV ratings?
Oh yeah, they are way ahead of the Big Ten TV ratings. Yep.
Thank you. This is what I'm trying to express to some people. The Big Ten need to add some schools to bring up their TV ratings. Right now, if you bring in Florida State, Clemson, go over here into the SEC, them ratings going to go up even higher. You need the Big Ten. The smart play would have been to go ahead and get Florida State, get the pieces that are on the board, get the Florida State. Forget about Notre Dame. Go get Florida State, Miami to get eyeballs to your conference. These are my big brands. Why we going by some other metrics is killing me. Look, I understand y'all people in the Big Ten stuck up on this AAU thing, but AAU is not TV ratings. That ain't bringing no eyeballs. Ain't nobody watching the Big Ten because you got AAU. This is about money, big boy football. Now, either you're going to keep playing the Professor Griff schools, and we go over here and we play big boy football in the SEC. But this is where everything going. Another thing you got on to, which was both of these conferences going to have to act. If you don't act, then the forces outside of college football, the wolves that are knocking at the door, they're going to come on in, and you will have a super league. It is way too much money. Everybody see the spotlight on college football and the amount of money that everybody can make, these schools can make. These schools know that they can make money. I'm just surprised that your conference commissioner in the Big Ten haven't whipped the presidents in line in the Big Ten and say, hey, look, this is where everything is going. We can get the AAU after we get these brands in here. But this right here just is everybody, it's almost like it's a dance. And everybody want to go for Notre Dame. Notre Dame, like I've been saying for the longest, you start making these dominoes fall in the ACC, Notre Dame is going to move. Stop pandering to Notre Dame. They're going to move. That's all I have to say, Greg.
All right, man.
But go Noles.
Go Noles. Thank you, Morris Simmons. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Love Morris Simmons calls. Very passionate. Now, I will say this, just to counter that. TV ratings, yes, the Big Ten's well behind the SEC. But the value that the Big Ten brings is not way behind the SEC for a few reasons. One is the markets. Hold on.
Call from
Dave in Tampa.
I'm sorry, who is this?
Dave in Tampa.
Oh, Dave from Tampa. I appreciate you calling again. Can you hold on for just one moment?
Sure thing.
I appreciate it. Just to counter that, the Big Ten ratings are not SEC ratings. That is for sure. But the Big Ten value is right now is as high as the SEC. There's a couple of different reasons for that. One is the Big Ten markets, the Big Ten blend, so to speak. They're a national conference. They have huge brands, and then there's universities in the SEC in the Big Ten that are in bigger markets that the national advertisers love. And if the national advertisers love it, if they're buying the products and services at a higher rate in those markets, then you do not need as many eyeballs on as you do the SEC. That is one thing. Another part of this is the Big Ten would not ever trade places with the SEC when it comes to the conference networks. The Big Ten network, each Big Ten school owns a slice of that network. The SEC schools do not. There's a big middleman. There's the front man, the SEC. In the Big Ten, they've got it set up where the Fox owns 61%. The other 39% are owned by slices of the Big Ten, and the Big Ten Conference itself gets a slice. The Big Ten makes more money on ad rates. The Big Ten is Nielsen rated. The Big Ten network is Nielsen rated. The SEC network is not. These conferences, even though they both are the two most richest conferences, powerful conferences, there's so many things that are dissimilar to these two conferences, like how they operate. One is just one media company. It is easier to find SEC content. That in part drives up the ratings. It is more difficult to find the Big Ten content. But on the other hand, because you've got different media partners, and it's all up in the open, and then the Big Ten, they do their next media contract quicker than the SEC. They both have done things completely different from each other. And they both find themselves, right now, it could change, but they're the most richest conferences that are out there. One of the advantages that the Southeastern Conference has is much higher ratings. And I think the next contract of the Southeastern Conference is going to be unbelievable. But I also think the next contract that the Big Ten offers is going to be unbelievable. They both have their different ways of generating money for their media partner. Like CBS, former president of CBS, former president of Paramount, Wendy McMahon, said in an interview, yes, the SEC ratings are much higher, but she also said for CBS, we make more money having Big Ten product on there because of all the value that the Big Ten, the markets give to CBS in other ways. Not with inside the game, but before the game, after the game, because we got all their affiliates in their big markets. Both of these conferences have found a way to print money. And they're about to print more money. Both different ways. And that's why I don't think Notre Dame is going to be able to keep up. To circle back to that. Dave from Tampa, I appreciate your patience. The floor is yours. What do you got to say, sir?
I got to say, first off, thanks for taking my call. Second, have you picked out a vacation spot? Because Little General will probably have you standing at attention and doing push-ups until you puke. And
yeah, Greg, we know where we're going.
So cold.
Huh?
Greg is so cold that when he gets ice cubes out of the freezer, they call him Daddy because they think they're the chip off the old block.
Wow. 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 Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Go ahead, sir. What do you got to say? Or is that it?
I think you're right about. I think you're spot on with Notre Dame. You're spot on with everything. That's why I called it because the previous caller is like, what people don't understand about the AAU is those schools are making more money off the AAU than they are off any TV contracts that they're getting. Whatever they're getting in kind of TV contracts is just extra. That's just toppings on the sundae, so to speak. And they're making more money, and that even though the viewership of the SEC as a whole is much bigger. The majority of that, the Big Ten's viewership is coming from 3 or 4 programs. Ohio State, Team Up North, Penn State, and maybe
we got USC and Oregon.
I don't know, USC and Oregon.
Yep.
You know, but look, I think you're right on Notre Dame. I don't see. You see that they were being boxed in. I don't think they're being boxed in. I see Notre Dame as being boxed out. Everything that's happening is boxing Notre Dame out, and they're going to have to eventually they're going to have to make that move, because eventually we're going there. Eventually we're getting there. One way or another, eventually we're getting there, and whether it's 24 teams or whatever, you're going to get there, because the inevitable is a fact that there's not enough money in the ACC to go around.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just not, and there's not enough money in the Big 12 for it to go around, and for it to be to have any type of longevity. It's just not there. Do the math. I mean, just look down the road. I mean, just have some insight and look where things are going, man. I mean, you're going to have games on Netflix and Amazon, and in the next few years, they're going to be affiliated and with some conferences.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for some conferences, that might be the only way that they're actually going to be able to survive in any type of form at all. Pac-12, okay, it is. I'm sorry, there's a reason why the Pac-12 fell apart. It wasn't any economically viable,
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't. And you already got teams that want to leave the ACC. You got teams that want to leave the Big 12. I mean, everybody can sit there. If the SEC throws Oklahoma State a lifeline, you can guarantee you they're doggone gone. They're not going to stay in the Big 12. Mm-hmm. They're going to be like, see ya, been nice. It's been real, but it hasn't been real nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the old saying? Money talks and bullcrap walks. And the more things change, the more they stay the same. And with two super leagues, you will get back to regionality, and you're going to get back to that. I mean, there's just because of the way that the time zones are, and then you got, like I said, you're going to have all these different new media partners. That's the way things are going. Hey, look, man, my wife and I were just talking just a few minutes ago before I called.
Mm-hmm.
I'm back here on TV, watching TV in the bedroom, and our grandkids are 13 and about to be 5. The youngest one doesn't even know what a DVD is. We're talking about bringing a DVD player into the bedroom.
Yeah.
It's like that generation doesn't even know what a DVD is, guys. All right, streaming is the only thing. This is where things are going.
Yeah,
it just is. And thanks for taking my call. And you're right, you're spot on. And there's no way that things can especially when you got brands like North Carolina and Clemson and Florida State and Miami. When your biggest brands want to leave, you can't survive. It's like General Motors. If General Motors, their biggest brands left General Motors, Chevrolet left General Motors would freaking collapse. Okay, it just would. If Chevrolet decides we're not going to be part of GM anymore, we're just going to be Chevrolet, and that's it. The GM, as you know, it would collapse.
Yeah.
So, but I just like watching everybody panic. Like, oh well, you're a Buckeye and you're Big Ten, you got nothing to worry about. Well, it can also go the other way. You can get too big, and it doesn't. And if you get too big too fast, how many times have you seen that fail? Yep. How many times have you seen that fail in businesses?
Yep.
They got too big too fast. A good brand got too big too fast, and it failed because of that.
Yeah.
But But anyways, Greg, don't go. There's a heat wave out, man. You may want to wait until later in the year to take that vacation. Try to push it a little bit closer. Stay north. Maybe go to Canada. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe Alaska's what you want. Maybe Alaska's. Take a cruise to Alaska, brother. I heard those are great. I've never been on one.
Yeah.
Take a cruise to Alaska. Stay cool. And
I will. I got no problem staying cool.
So don't let little General lock you up, man. Don't let her lock you up.
You got it.
Gotta take care of business, brother.
You got it,
man. Yeah. You have a great day.
Appreciate it. Great call, sir. Beautiful call. Appreciate it, Tampa Dave. Hope you call again real soon. Yogi Buck, if national advertisers loved it so much, Oregon and Washington would have gotten a full share. That doesn't. The media partners gave Oregon and Washington a full share because they had all the leverage, which is a good example, Yogi Buck, and why I'm saying this does not fit the time schedule of expansion for the SEC or the Big Ten, because they do not have the leverage on their media partners right now. They don't. Especially the Big Ten. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole again on that, but they're prepared for the quick strike just in case it's needed, depending on the bill and depending on the Big Ten thinking what the SEC is going to do and the Southeastern Conference thinking what the Big Ten is going to do. But that is a great example of why the Big Ten don't want to do it right now. Because the Oregon-Washington editions were after that deal was done, that media deal. And they weren't going to get a whole bunch more money from the media partners. But anyways, Greg, couldn't Notre Dame solve their future revenue issues by just doing an NIL deal with Johnson & Johnson for no more tears shampoo so they can stop crying off season and not join the Big Ten? It depends on how much Johnson & Johnson values Notre Dame for being their mascot on no more tears on their complaints. I got a feeling that Notre Dame ain't going to be crying much during this season. That Miami game, that's a big game. But I think Notre Dame they're going to have a really, 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 really good season. Don Scruggs, we got a pool, Greg. Come on down. It's not that hot. Don Scruggs, if you want the fat guy from Minnesota to go into your pool, cause a tsunami, it's called water. What is it called? Water dislocation? Is that the right term? Water. Why am I having a water it's not dislocation. What's the term? Whatever. Don Scruggs, I don't know if you want me to go in your pool. I would love to go in there. I'm not ashamed. I will jump right into your pool. But your water bill is going to go up because you're going to have to refill it. So tell Wendy that the water bill is water displacement. What's wrong with me? I know I have problems. I know I'm the original Minnesota moron, but why can't once in a while my brain it freezes? I got to make sure my brain doesn't freeze when we do picks against the spread this year, because I have to become Greg the Gold. It's got to happen in 2026. We cannot be Greg the Cooler. England 3, Mexico 2, right after I guaranteed a Mexico victory. Can't have no more of that. I'm not going to be able to survive that. I'm not going to be able to survive that. Thank you, Don Scruggs, Tom DeBay, for helping me out. All right, I do want to thank those who have donated to the program tonight to help us keep the lights on and grow the channel. Preston from Greensboro, the Irish Ryan, Eva Badger, Opie D. Don, and Helmer Hennison. I do appreciate it. I appreciate all you joining us on this beautiful Monday, July 6th. We've been on the air for over 2 hours. We still got 160 people in here, but I think we're going to have to take off. Again, buckle up, brace for impact. Tomorrow is Big 12 Media Days. We're going to be covering that and everything else in college football. Everything. So make sure before you leave, you subscribe, ring that notification bell. And if you've liked our content today, smash that like button. Again, today was the last Power 4 program, 68 of them. We've covered them all under the college football PATC spotlight. All of them. Tennessee Volunteers, number 68. And starting tomorrow, our Spotlight series is not over yet. We're going to be talking about the Boise State Broncos. Then UNLV, Memphis, James Madison, East Carolina, Ohio, North Dakota State Bison, Western Michigan Broncos, Miami, Ohio, Navy, San Diego State, and Delaware. They're all going to be getting their own spotlight here at PATC. So that's going to be going on for at least another 12 live shows. We're going to cover all the breaking news tomorrow, possibly making our own breaking news. Possibly, if we can confirm this, that, or this. We're working on it. We're poking and we're prodding. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, Golden Gophers.